Hello and welcome to We Never Met, the podcast where I talk to interesting strangers every single week. Today we have
Shle Berry.
How you doing?
I'm doing well. It's rainy.
Yeah, it's kind of sad out there.
I'm down in the dumps, but
Are you?
yeah, the weather like really affects my mood.
Oh,
Yeah.
I hear you.
I have like, I guess they call. Yeah, I guess
depression?
I don't want to make it seem that.
I mean, it's
dramatic,
a real
but,
thing.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and it's going to be bad for a while. I feel like too.
know, it's just like that
we're never
time
going
of
to get out of
year.
it.
It's either
terrible.
snowing or raining, and then all of a sudden summer's there and it's really, really hot and humid, and then winter's back, and you're like, Jesus
know.
Christ, everything just like the year's gone already.
I know, but that's another thing. Like Wisconsin, like because you grew up here too, so it's like the summer sucked because they're so hot and humid.
So hot, you can't breathe.
I know, so many bugs outside.
Isn't that the worst? You can't
It
even
is.
enjoy it, or
No.
it's either. I really like the like 70-ish range,
Yeah, it's
but then all of a
perfect.
sudden it gets up to like 80, and like it rained last night, so you're
Yep.
just like cooking outside, and you're like, yeah, I wanted to look cute, but I'm sweating, and now I have
Yeah.
sweat marks on my shirt,
that's like, I sweat so much.
and it's like I can't even look cute now. I smell like shit, and
Right, it's over. It's over for me.
anyways, I could go about it. Whatever.
Yeah, forever. So to give like a brief synopsis of like what you do or what you're known for. I mean, you do a lot of things, but like what you're known for right now in this current moment. What would you say that is?
I rap and stuff.
And stuff.
Yeah.
What's the stuff?
The stuff like I don't know. I dabble in the singing, but I wouldn't consider myself like a singer.
Right.
But I dabble in like melody. I don't know. I don't even know how to like really describe it.
Is that like a hard thing to do? Because I feel, are you worried that people are gonna like hate on you if you call yourself a singer? Because like I would just be like, if I sing, then I'm a singer, I guess.
If I only sang, I don't think I would do that well.
If that's all you did.
Yeah. So that's why I don't.
Yeah.
But I like to mix it up because I feel like when I'm sitting in like that pocket of like the comfortable range that I can sing in, I feel like I do really well. But then people are like, oh, you want to sing on this song? And it's like a little out of my range on where I'm supposed to be, like, I guess as an octave. I don't know anything about like music theory. So people are going to be like, that's not what you call it. But anyway.
How dare you?
Yeah, damn it, Shle. But there are times when I feel a little bit out of my comfort zone. And those are the times when I'm like, yeah, I'm just going to rap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that, well, how did you get into rap initially? Is that kind of what you did? Is it, because I'm a terrible singer. I'm also a bad rapper as well.
I bet you're really good with the music turned up really loud.
You think so?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
You
I mean, I'm good as singer with the music turned up really loud too. But is that how you initially got into it, or did it start as something else?
It started as poetry.
Okay.
I felt really misunderstood as a kid.
Sure.
So I didn't like talking to anyone. So I just started writing stuff down, like venting
Yeah.
my thoughts, my fears.
Were you like afraid to talk to people or like about
Yeah, I
the
didn't
stuff
want
that
to
was
be
going through
judged.
your
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I want to say weird, but I don't feel like weird is the right word. Maybe like eccentric. Maybe that's a better word.
Yeah.
I just didn't know who I was growing up.
Yeah.
And then I had those feelings of like, I might be gay. So I pushed that away.
Yeah.
I let my hair grow really long to like maybe
Compensate or something.
overcompensate for it. Like, I'm not gay because I have long hair. Like,
Right.
you think when you're a kid, you're like anything to not be pointed out in the crowd. I wanted to fit in so badly. And then all my friends started getting into like drinking at a really young age. And I was just never into that.
Yeah.
So, and I had, problems with family life, and I didn't think anyone would really understand. So I was pretty like,
You were like
I don't want
closed
to say
off.
lonely, but I didn't talk about that
Right.
type of stuff with like people at school. I was like,
Yeah.
nah.
Well, in your family too, you just didn't feel like they would be cool with it?
No. My parents were like never really, really together. I do remember like brief moments of them like living together for short periods of time, but they just didn't get along. So I think it was for the best that they just didn't stay together. I think it was kind of a toxic thing for them, which also would lead to me having like a toxic upbringing, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
So I just had a lot of like weird, I don't know, I was embarrassed in school that I had 2 phone numbers and 2 addresses, and I had 2 last names until I turned 18. like my parents just couldn't get along about anything. So I had a hyphenated last name. I had my mom's last name hyphenated with my dad's last name. And that was just embarrassing.
Right.
To me.
That's hard
like,
too.
Yeah,
because you didn't get to choose any of that.
Yeah. I'm like, yeah, you can tell that my parents don't get along.
Yeah.
Go me.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was just,
they can't even like come together for this.
right.
This
I'm like,
one
this
thing.
is stupid. So I dealt with a lot of adversity in that regard.
Yeah. And so writing that stuff down like really helped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like getting it out.
Right.
I don't know when it initially like started. I can't really like point at a time, but it was definitely probably around like middle school, high school.
Okay.
That I started like being more self-aware of these feelings and like being aware that like my family life wasn't the norm and it made me feel very isolated.
Right.
Yeah.
It gets worse because like I had a similar experience, but with a completely different thing where like I have OCD. So like when I grew up, I was having like these really, really like awful thoughts that were like embarrassing to have. And I like didn't want to talk about them to anyone. So I like purposefully like never talked about it and like never told anyone, but then that made me feel even worse.
Right. It like didn't help.
Right. And that like made me want to like retreat more and like not talk to people.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's tough. Like, especially when you get to, you know, high school and stuff when everything is like changing in your body too.
And you think it's so important. Like people think high school is like this like important time in your life. And when you're living it, it is. But like now that I graduated, I'm like, why did I care so much? Why did I put so much pressure on myself? Like,
Right.
All those kids were chumps anyways.
Yeah, exactly.
Why am I even like bothered by it? Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I definitely agree with you in that regard. It was like you feel it, so you push yourself away, which then just makes it worse.
Makes it even worse.
Yeah, I definitely feel that.
So when did you talked about at a young age, like not wanting to, I guess, accept, being gay. Like when did that kind of come around for you and where you were okay with it?
I literally never, ever, ever remember being into like wearing girl clothes. I remember being in my uncle's wedding. I was like 4 or 5 and my mom forced me to wear a dress and I cried. I was so mad at her for making me wear a dress. Yeah. And it was just this thing that I think everyone knew. And I didn't like that everyone knew.
Or like made the assumption or whatever.
Yeah, so I didn't get to like own that by myself.
Right.
I didn't want anyone to be right. I'm like, you don't fucking know me.
Yeah.
You know, like then I was like, nah. I was like, yeah, I like guys. And like, well, who? And I'm like, fuck. And then you're just like making shit up. You're like,
Alex,
what's that one
Alex,
guy?
He's cool.
Yeah. And I probably didn't come out until I was like 21, which seems really late. Yeah. Considering that I've like known for so long. And my parents never put any pressure on me. I never they were never like, oh, we know you're gay and we're kicking you out. So I don't know why I was so like apprehensive.
I mean, it's scary. It's a scary thing.
It definitely is. Like all my friends knew. We didn't talk about it, but like they knew.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I didn't have like a rough coming out experience, but it was still fucking terrifying.
You have this thing that's like so culturally like put into you, like, oh, you're different, so like it must be bad, you know what I mean? And like you see all these stories that come out about like people that do come out to their parents, and it is awful, right?
And I like that stuff breaks my heart because I'm like, I had a rough experience even when people were accepting of me, so I can't even imagine what that felt like. And then it also really rattled my idea of God, and I'm like, if I'm having these feelings and like I can't seem to shut them off, I can't seem to make them like go away, I can't shake it, and God created me in his own way, why are there like these stipulations into being accepted by God? Like I had a really, really rough time with that. But my parents weren't very religious, so there wasn't a lot of pressure. I guess I was just like not understanding where I was supposed to fit in,
right? Type
of thing with society.
Did music help with that? Like,
definitely. Yeah, definitely. I became very fearless. Yeah. When I started writing, I don't know what the disconnect was, because it was like you're talking about those things publicly, but you won't tell anyone. So like it didn't make sense. Right. But there was just something that was so comfortable and so emancipating about like being able to write it down in a very like artistic way and just like give it out and just like let it spill. Yeah. I don't know what it was. It was just this like magical feeling, and I don't know how to describe it. I just, when you're feeling it,
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
Yeah. So when did those, like, when did you started writing at a young age, and when did you kind of transition that into like making that into music?
I had a group of friends who were also very like outcast.
Okay.
And I clicked with them like immediately. And we would just get into trouble. Like that's what we would do. Like the outcast, like, yeah, if I'm going to do it, I'm just going to own this title.
Yeah. Yeah.
And one of my friends had this like bootleg DAW that he was really into computer science, and like he knew how to download anything on the internet, and he downloaded this just because he could. That's like who he was.
Just to prove that he could.
Yeah,
right, exactly.
That's like who he was. Yeah. He got this bootleg, it was called Cool Edit Pro. And he's like, look, we could like record our voice on here. And I'm like, what the hell are we gonna do with that?
Yeah.
Like, cool, dude.
Yeah.
And so then there was a day that he was like, I found some beats online. We should rap on these. And I was like, I don't know how to do that.
Are you gonna?
I listened to Lil
rap?
Wayne, but like I don't know how to actually do that.
Yeah.
So it was like a joke at first.
Yeah.
Just to do something with my friends, and then all of a sudden we started doing it, and I was like, this is actually really fun.
Yeah.
So then we like made a group, a rap group, a really lame rap group.
What was the group called? Do you
LPG.
What does that
Stood
stand
for Lollipop Gang.
Okay.
Which was inspired by the Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
I was like, that'd be kind of cool. There's 3 of us. They each have like a favorite color that we like. I don't even know why. I don't know why, but we like ran with it.
Yeah.
And I ended up getting to a point where I was like, I think I could like really do this. We were getting enough feedback.
Yeah.
And I ended up doing a lot of work for it. And I was like, do you guys want to like help me do a lot of the work?
Yeah.
Because if you don't want to,
I'm
going solo.
You seem pretty pointless.
Yeah,
to be in here.
and that sucked because we ended up like not being friends for a while because they were really mad at me for like leaving.
Well, were they interested in it at the same level as you were, though?
I think they thought they were. I think everyone thinks that they are.
Right. Yeah.
But
Everyone
then
thinks,
it's like, yeah, but if you were putting in the work, it would show.
Right. Exactly. It comes to the execution.
Yes.
You know, like everybody wants to do everything, but like,
So
are you actually?
we would make a song and we would put it up on, God, I don't even remember where we would put it at that point, probably YouTube and
MySpace. Yeah.
So I would take these links and I would go through every single person on my Facebook page, every friend I had, and I would post it on their page. And I would write like, hey, I'm Shle. Here's my new song. Check me out. I would spam the shit out of people. I thought that was the best way to get known.
It's guerrilla marketing or whatever.
And it would take me hours.
Oh, I bet.
Hours. And they would be like, hey, thanks.
Really?
I'm like, I'll just go fuck myself. It's cool.
Whatever.
So it was that kind of stuff where I was like really trying to get us to the next level.
Sure.
And they like, I don't think they knew what that meant or they weren't that passionate about it.
Right.
But there was something that struck a chord with me with like the writing and the like expression and like just spilling everything that's on your mind. I was like, you know what? Let's just see where this goes.
Yeah.
God, that was so long ago. I was like
17
when I was like in that group, 17, 18. And
so that like disbanded, then you went
I went solo when I was like 20, like right when I came out. I like went solo. And
so what was your style in that group? Was it similar to when you started going solo, or did it change too?
Yeah, it was similar. Like I just talked about things that the only thing I know. Like we would make songs that were like, we get bitches in cars and we're like, that's what cool kids talk about. But like not at all.
Yeah.
Had no girlfriends, had no money, had no cars. Had, like nothing. We like, played Halo and ate Cheetos and bought Jolt energy drinks and
which would be a cool song if I'm
right. And I don't know why we didn't just talk about that. So, but then it started to progress of like, now there's no pressure to like collaborate.
Yeah.
I can just talk about whatever I want to talk about.
Sure.
And that's when I really started dabbling in singing because I didn't have to ask them for permission. It was just like, let's just see. Because I grew up listening to a lot of R&B. I grew up on Backstreet Boys and NSYNC, and then Justin Timberlake left, and he had his solo album. I was super into that. Boyz II Men, Usher, all those like early 2000s
those quintessential
R&B.
groups. Yeah,
I was so into that. But I was like, I could never be a singer, right? But then,
you can do it.
Like now, I kind of like know my stride.
Yeah,
but so I was very invested in singing before rap even came along.
So were your tracks early on, were they more heavily singing?
No.
I
was just too afraid to.
Okay, you just really wanted to do it, but you just weren't going to do it.
No, I was like, nah.
The next one. I'll do it on the next one.
I'm a hardcore rapper.
Yeah.
And then 50 Cent came out, and I was obsessed with that man. I thought he was the coolest thing in the world. I bought all of his G Unit clothes. I looked awful in them. I don't think anyone looked good in G Unit clothes. You're right, and they were so ugly. And my parents were like, "Oh, okay, if that's what you want to wear,
this is what you want to do."
Wearing double XL clothes, sagging my jean shorts. Oh God, it was so embarrassing. But I thought it was the coolest shit.
Yeah,
and I don't know if I was just obsessed with the idea of like his life. Like it was like
he's like one of the guys that he made it. You know, he's doing like well.
Like came out of like this shitty situation and
he
ended
got
up
shot
like
5 times. He's still living.
I was so obsessed with it, and I don't know what it was about it, because I had listened to rap before. My dad was really into rap music. He didn't really like when I listened to like the Tupac, the Biggie stuff, because they cussed a lot. They talked about, you know, women in derogatory ways, and he's like, we're not going to really listen to this. So he really, really liked R&B music, and some of those old school hip hop kids like Slick Rick and things of that nature. He would really listen to Tribe Called Quest, things like that were less like aggressive.
I mean, 50 Cent was massive in the early 2000s.
I know, and I don't know what it was that it just,
he was huge.
It must have just been the right place at the right time, that really like hit me. But I didn't feel inspired to rap by him. I just fell in love with rap because of him. And it wasn't until Drake that I was like, oh, I can talk about my feelings. I was like, okay, let's run with this. And then Drake sang a little bit. And I was like, all of a sudden my mind was just like blown. I was like, wait, isn't this wheelchair kid from Degrassi? I was like, this can't be like, this has to be a joke. And then he dropped a bunch of music with Lil Wayne, and he ended up signing with Young Money. And I was like, dude, this guy's like for real. And I remember like him dropping his first album, like that mixtape. And that album changed my life. It literally.
What was that called?
So Far Gone.
Okay.
The way that he wrote and the way that he articulated himself and the way that he was so vulnerable in his music, I was like, man, I've never heard a rapper, whether they existed or not, because of course they did, but like for my own perspective, I had never heard anything like that before, about him talking about getting his heart broken and being like scared and singing about like this girl at 3 a.m. who doesn't fuck with him. I'm like, man, I feel that. Like, I really feel that. And I've watched myself progress, not with him, but I really started getting into my own music in 2009 when I graduated high school. It's like when I left the group. And it was just kind of ironic, the timing with Drake and I, that he was like, I don't know. And people that know him now, he's more of a pop artist now. So when I talk about Drake as being one of my favorite rappers,
people
they roll their eyes. They're like,
similar to when Drake first came out.
And I didn't fall in love with Drake because of his mainstream stuff. I fell in love with Drake because of how
he did it,
and like the things that he was willing to talk about. I was like, yes, like I can talk about stuff like that. And that's really what, like, the inspiration from that. I'll never, it's crazy to think like a person changed your life that you never met. And I know that maybe one day I'll get to that point. It'll just be this overwhelming, like if I ever meet Drake and would you like freeze? What would happen? I don't know. I think it would just be it would definitely be an overwhelming experience just because of like what he's done for me. And I don't even know how he processes that on like a normal basis about like, I don't even know you. And you're telling me, because
it probably happens a lot.
I bet it does. Especially like an artist of his caliber. That stuff like blows me away. But
because he, at the beginning when he started I think another thing probably that a lot of people connected with was that like he could have stopped. After that mixtape, he got shit on so much. For like putting out his feelings and being this guy that sang a little bit and rapped and stuff. Like, he got hated on so much. He could have just been like, actually, it's not worth it. and still to this day, I mean, there's like memes of Drake and all that stuff. Like
he is the meme king, man.
Right.
He gets roasted all the time,
but he just keeps going.
He does,
you know, and he has a massive amount of success doing that. So, but yeah, that's the thing that I always think about when I think about Drake is like, man, just everyone just hated on him.
They did,
and then all of a sudden,
maybe that's another reason why I liked it so much.
Yeah,
it was like this. I know what it's like to feel,
yeah,
like as the outsider, wanting to be yourself, and that's all he really wanted to do. So maybe that's why I like really connected with him in that regard. Right.
He wanted to be in this genre where everything that he was saying and doing was looked down upon and not accepted. Like essentially, that's what he did.
That's my guy. That's my ticket right there.
That's the guy. So when did you start, like, because you have a more recent album or EP out called Parallels.
Yes.
Was that your first kind of, I guess, not like so just releasing like singles, or was that your first like piece together, like a project, or was there other ones before that?
The one before it was called Yellow Streak, and that was in 2017.
Okay.
And it was a project that I was trying to test myself on. Can I release this package? Can I do it efficiently? Can I, make the music, mix and master it, get some cool album art, make some promo, do a show? Am I capable? And then when it happened and I succeeded at all the things that I wanted to check off my list, I was like, okay, now that I know the building blocks of this, I'm going to kill it next time. And that's what Parallels was. It was like, now I kind of know what I have to do. Yeah. Let's just see if I really, really just put my foot on the gas.
So how many songs were on that first album in 2017? 4. Okay.
Yep. Which was kind of short for an EP, in my opinion. I think like EPs are really, really comfortable around like maybe 5, 6, 7 range. Yeah. I think anything after that, you're kind of an album at that point.
Right. What's the difference?
I don't know. Like mixtape, EP, album, I don't even know anymore.
You're just putting out music.
I am. I am.
That's
from my understanding,
awesome.
An EP is like a mini album.
Okay. Gotcha.
Maybe. I mean, that makes sense. That's just my perspective of it.
Based on seeing it, that makes sense.
So
was that project then, was that the first one you did, was it more of just like, was there any sort of like cohesive story in the album, or was it just like, I'm just going to put out and see what happens?
Yellow Streak, if you look up the definition, is like showing signs of like cowardice. Okay. And I really liked that because I think rap has a reputation for being the opposite of that. It's very,
gloaty and kind of in your face.
In your face, braggadocious. Yeah. Right. And I was like, that's not me at all. So I do have like a yellow streak down my back. I'm okay with showing that I do have like cowardly parts in me. And those cowardly parts of me really built me and made me stronger. Yeah. And like I needed those to even be where I am. So I talked about a lot of those things in the album.
And so when it came around to Parallels, and that you got a bunch of awards for that.
Yeah, that was really overwhelming. I wasn't expecting that at all.
Yeah. So when you put that out, because how long after were the Radio Milwaukee Awards when you won the Independent Release of the Year?
So I released it in October, and then all of that stuff started happening.
Was that an end of the year thing?
Yeah, it was like December.
So pretty
November,
quick.
December. Yeah. And all of a sudden, Shepherd Express was picking it up. Radio Milwaukee was picking it up. All the like Journal Sentinel was picking it up. And I was like, holy shit. Okay.
This is a lot.
Yeah. And I was like, I really started like questioning myself. And I started, you hear people chirping about it. You hear people that are like, oh, Shle doesn't deserve that. Who's this Shle girl? She came out of nowhere. And I'm like, I worked hard for this shit. Like,
right. Does that bother you?
Oh my God, it bothers the shit out of me because people make it seem like I didn't earn that. Right. And I'm like, oh, I did. Yeah. I've been through the ringer, man. I didn't know who I was for a long time. I made really shitty music for a really long time. And I just started to focus on myself. Right. And I stopped being so bitter about the scene. And I think that's, in my opinion, I think that's everyone's problem, is that they're so bitter about like not having what so-and-so has that instead of working hard for it, they just bitch about it. Right. And it's like, if you would stop bitching and go work on something, maybe you would be farther. And that's what I did. I was like, I'm going to stop bitching about the things that I want and I'm just going to work for them.
Right.
And then things just started happening.
And also you spend less time at your keyboard because you're out doing stuff, you know, you're not like,
I'm
searching.
not like, hey, I'm working on this. No one cares.
Yeah.
Just go work on it
Yeah,
and then release it.
Right. Exactly.
No one cares that you made a banger last night. No one cares. I don't know why people do that shit. I'm like, that's great. When am I going to hear it? Or they're like, yeah, I might come out with an album next month. You might?
Yeah, you know, the funny thing to me is like, oh yeah, I made this really dope song last night or something. Someone like will say that, and the comments will be like, oh, that sounds good. How can it sound good? It's not out yet.
I know. I'm like, why do people do that?
Yeah.
Why? You clearly aren't working that hard. You have enough time to talk about it online. You could have used that time to plan a good rollout execution for it.
Right.
And I had to learn that stuff too. You're like, okay, I make music. I'm going to drop it tonight. And you realize that that's not great marketing. So you have to like save all the songs that you make, pick the good ones. And you're like, okay, now that I have the good ones, would these sound good together? Right. And then you start picking the ones that sound good together. And then you're like, all right, now that I have this stuff, we need cover art. We need a trailer. We need a marketing tactic. We need a show to release. We need a video. We need a single. We need promo. Like, there's so much stuff that people don't understand that goes into this. And I was talking to Sammer about this recently, and I was like, people think just because they make good art that they deserve something. Yeah. And that's not how that works. Like, there's a lot of really, really great artists who make really, really great art in this city. Right.
That will never be heard or seen.
Because you have to put in the other work for it. Right. I think, and I said this in a recent podcast, but I was like, making music takes up like 20% of my career. Yeah. Actually curating music is such a sliver to the pie. Right. Yeah. Everything else that's involved with it, like, you know, the recording, the mixing, the mastering, and like everything that I just previously said, like people have no idea how much goes into getting opportunities. Right. And then it's like, once you get an opportunity, you got to fucking kill it. Right. Once you get your foot in the door, if you're not ready, no one's going to care. They're going to be like, yeah, that we gave this guy a chance and he fucking bombed it. Yeah. So why would you get another one?
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't know. And again, this is all because of experience. I've had shitty shows. I've had really bad experiences in the past. I've made bad decisions.
It's all part of it, you know?
Yeah. So like, I don't know. I see a lot of local artists complain that they're not getting the opportunities they want, or that like their friends like deserve more and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, why are you online complaining about it?
Right. Go do something about it.
And if you don't know how, maybe you should ask people who you admire or who are getting those opportunities. Like, hey, how are you doing this? Give me some guidance. Give me something. Right.